Hello, and welcome to Metachemistry. This is episode 124, and we're back with a Winner's Circle segment where we take a look at a large event, typically a satellite, and that will be the case in this instance, as we're talking about the Krug that just occurred as of recording last weekend. And we bring on the winner to kind of talk about their games, things they learned, their kind of mentality and process going through the event and kind of see, what can be imparted to all of you listening. And so for this event, for the Corvus Belli Krug, we have Derrek, and on ITS you'll recognize him as Misderrektion.
Let's go.
And yeah, so first off, congratulations, of course, for winning the first Corvus Belli Krug. So I'm sure that's extra exciting, or at least I feel like it would be if I were participating.
It was extra good. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Yeah, it was a really fun event, and it was fun. It was nice to be back in Denver, so it was a really good time.
Yay!
Yeah, it was great to see you again. I know it doesn't happen too terribly often, but it's always a good time. And yeah, before we get too far, though, I do want to give a quick shout to Mo Games, sponsor of Metachemistry. And so if you're looking for Infinity or Warcrow or even some other odds and ends, you can find them at mo-games.com. And as part of their sponsorship of the show, any of our paid level patrons get a 10% discount code to that store. And in addition, we have a $40 coupon code to that store that's raffled off every month to our Discord users. In order to be entered into that, you don't have to be a patron or anything along those lines. You just have to be on our Discord, select the Mo Giveaways role, and you need a US shipping address for that to be sent to. Because what's better than games? Mo Games. And so we have Ian as well as myself, joined by Derrek here. And so, first off, Derrek, can you give just kind of like a high level overview of your experience or impressions of the Krug before we kind of start talking about lists and getting into the nitty gritty of things?
So my experience with Krug was very similar to. It was just like it was a good experience as like a large tournament. It just is as because that's what it is because it's the largest tournament in North America. It was a good experience. It was nice to see international friends, and then
Absolutely.
and the night and it was pretty. It was I enjoyed the organization and it was interesting because there was a lot of new systems that were being introduced, and that was an interesting change.
Yeah, one thing that I found out about when I was at Gen Con this year was that there was going to be a live stream, because I did not know that was going to be the case. I'm not sure the organizers knew that was going to be the case by that point in the month, but it was a little rocky, but it sounds like it came together. I went back and watched some of the videos passively, and I think it turned out okay. So that was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
But yeah, I mean, obviously the Krug is kind of previous to this point. The Krug has been kind of a different beast every year. It's a very mutable concept of what the Krug is, and yeah, it was really interesting to see this be. It is the longest running Infinity tournament in the world, predating even the Interplanetario. But this is the biggest it's ever been, and I believe this is the first time it's been a satellite. I know that's something that the organizers, Mark and Eric, had not really ever applied to be a satellite because they were worried that might take away from the kind of everyone come together and hang out nature of prior Krugs. But this one
it was also the timing of Krug around Interplanetario was just there wasn't a lot of separation. Like sometimes it was consecutive weekends or only 2 weeks apart or something like that. So it would make it difficult on some levels to have it be a satellite. Also, that it kind of takes place if it's after Interplanetario in the weird spot of in between seasons, so we don't necessarily know what rules we're going to be using.
Yeah, that was definitely the the moment of like was with the introduction of we were uncertain about new rules. I didn't realize that had not been in a satellite before because we met 2 years ago at Krug's, so that was interesting. So,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is because it feels like other US satellites that I've been to. Like it definitely, I could very easily see it being the case, but it just never was. I mean, it's funny because I know that at least part of the idea, in addition to the scheduling issues that Ian mentioned, was that wanting to facilitate more of a friendly experience, I suppose, is that the big names that are winning events anyway are still coming here. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Plus, like you're saying, it was and this was definitely a change from the back of the pub that we were at when I was the last time I was there.
Yeah,
It was a
exactly.
huge change. Yeah, very big vibe difference. So kind of like this laid back play. Well, it was still a tournament, but it was like pretty kind of laid back, and you could still get a beer in this one, but it was more like this is a large tournament. This would be like when you back when you playing I was playing Magic in like a massive tournament. It felt very much similar.
Yeah, it was definitely much more professional feeling, I suppose, instead of like a big hangout necessarily. But one of the nice things about it is that even with players that are playing uh, very competitively, it's still generally a very friendly atmosphere, which you don't always get with every community, but Infinity is definitely one of those, at least from my experience at a number of US events.
There were very few conflicts that happened at the Krug this year. There's always going to be some little things here and there, but it was extremely little that was happening compared to other events and Krugs of years past. So that was very nice.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where the Krug continues because it sounds like it will definitely be growing from this year. Because initially it was a cap of 100, and then it quickly capped, and then expanded to 120, and then capped again. And that was still months in advance of the event itself. I want to say 3-4 months, maybe something like that. And yeah, so I know that I don't know if this is actually the case, but I know Mark had mentioned the possibility of 160 next year.
Wow.
So we'll see. I mean, he would know the figures in terms of how many people were trying to wait list.
Ideas being batted around. Yeah, it could be that big. Also, Warcrow is going to be a thing.
Yeah. Also, like we were in the small hall, if I remember correctly. Like I heard that there was an even bigger one, and that's wild to me. Like the only
so we're trying to get I think it's on the next floor up at the venue, and we're trying to get that one for next year. Is what it sounded like.
Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting deal. You can get that same catering. I would still be happy. The catering was good.
It was pretty solid.
Yeah. There's been some so catering in the past. This one was pretty decent. Like they didn't have any complaints about it.
Did you have the brownies? Even
yeah.
Those were so good. Oh, those were perfect brownies.
Yeah, but the even like the vegetarian option was actually pretty tasty, and those are super hit and miss. So yeah, that was the catering was pretty on point.
Yeah, for sure. So, Derrek, historically, you've been an O12 player. At least anytime I've seen, it's been O12. Do you play other factions?
Not lately. I actually started the game with Hakazlam, and I played that
for that's right.
Yeah, and that was kind of like a big leap of I had been playing Hakazlam and I had some relatively good stats, but the changeover to O12 was kind of like an epiphany moment. That was nice, and that's kind of where that's why you started seeing me in O12 is that I actually started like getting through the ranks with it.
Very cool. Yeah, and I should have remembered that. I feel like we had the same conversation last time you were on for it was SLS? Last year? No, it was Battle by the Beach.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Battle by the Beach.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's okay. It was a long time ago. I have played pretty much versions of O12 since then.
Sure,
I don't
sure.
really, yeah, I'm kind of a purist in that way. I'm one of those people that whenever I find something that I want to play, I'm just going to stick to it and just like figure out all the iterations of it.
Fair. Yeah, that is something I have a hard time with. Like I always come back to Aleph. I just don't stay there the whole time. I definitely jumped through a bunch of different factions. But yeah, and so
a bunch, like 3.
Like 3. That's 3. Okay, just because I carry 3 on a game night, it does not mean those are the only 3 that I play.
You carry 3 a game night? I don't have that much space.
I mean, I've a AK Messenger. It's their mid-size. I mean, it's not that big. It's not like the Kane, the big backpack one.
Is it like 3? Are we talking about like Nomads, the entire faction, Aleph, the entire faction, or are we talking about like sectorials or something?
3 sectorials.
Oh, okay.
So my current rotation in my bag is Tunguska, OSS, and Kestrel.
OSS and Kestrel. Okay. I'm curious about Kestrel. I have not seen a lot of Kestrel, which is surprising, but I've seen a lot of Shinden.
Gotcha. Yeah,
They definitely have the cooler models.
I mean, that's sort of true in a way. I kind of agree, but it's weird because I'm never motivated to paint those. Like I have the Sandtrap Shinden models, but I wanted to expand into Kestrel because I felt like they still had some of the essence of Neoterra that I wanted when Neoterra had left, and now is going to be returning. But we'll see what that looks like. But they also had some extra tricks, kind of Acontecimento-ish. But also, when I saw the artwork of the drummers when the lore book released in late August last year, I think, when I saw those, I'm like, I need to play whatever this is. I love drum bots. I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing ever, with like a little R2D2 bot rolling around, squealing as the HRMC goes off. It's great.
I get Vestrals, so I'm happy. I've been asking for a tractor mule with an autocannon for years, and I got one now.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, you can take so many drum bots now. You can take 8 drum bots.
Oh god, why?
Oh my god.
Because they added 2 new profiles that give you double drum bots.
I know.
If you take
I didn't realize they were AVA4. Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, I immediately I saw that change, and then I was at Gen Con. I'm like, Jay, do you have any drummers? I need another box of drum bots. So yeah, so I got one of those.
Oh wow.
I'm showing it to the camera, but that's not going to help any of you listening at home.
Very pretty, just so everyone knows. Just visually.
Yeah.
But the world of imagination.
Right. So, as far as O12 goes, though, the particular flavor this time was Torchlight, right?
That's right.
And so, last event, let's see, you were running Torchlight, I think, in our last conversation about Battle by the Beach, if I recall. And then the Krug one we played, you were on Starmada, I think. But that would have been before Torchlight released, I think.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that was the year before as Torchlight was releasing. It was an interesting time because they had as soon I don't know, like 6 months later, they were like, "Oh, by the way, Torchlight's coming in." I'm like, "I don't know what else to do. I have to prepare for these other satellites, but also I want to play this thing." And they they launched the rules for Torchlight as I was entering like the tournament for Battle by the Beach that year, and I'm like, I can't focus on this. Why would I play Starmada when I can just play when I want to learn Torchlight? It's definitely a moment of FOMO. My focus was definitely divided. It was
for sure. Yeah, and they're really interesting. And I think that they were kind of in an odd place tail end of N4 where they felt a little overtuned in a couple ways, mostly Silver Star Prime related ways. But uh, but yeah, and now I think that they're in a pretty interesting spot. I think that they are pretty healthy with where they're at the moment. But have you been playing Torchlight event wise, at least exclusively since then, and you jumped in?
Actually, so no, one of actually once since Battle by the Beach, immediately switched to vanilla because I was getting ready
Hmm.
for Interplanetario. It was an interesting moment of I Interplanetario is 6 + 1 rounds of
Yeah.
different super variety, like a super variety of missions, and they announced it kind of right before Battle by the Beach um, was launching. So I was kind of like figuring out, oh, what do I do? How do I play all
Yeah.
of these missions? So I've kind of tried to do I tried to do vanilla O12. I did vanilla O12 for a bit, and this was actually the first tournament since then that I played Torchlight, and that kind of like led into my experiences from Interplanetario led into the my decisions for list decisions for the Krug.
Hmm.
Gotcha. And so what did you see there? What felt, and I know this is not necessarily an Interplanetario episode, but I think it would be interesting to kind of hear a little bit about what that was like, and because I mean that's quite a gauntlet to run through. And how did that transition happen for you, or what kind of informed those decisions moving forward that you were talking about?
So the big thing that I took away from Interplanetario, in especially for list building, was the concept of there's a fundamental idea of optimization versus efficiency, and you can optimize your
Hmm.
list to basically try to do everything, or you can just do one thing really well. And
Hmm.
when I was trying to play Interplanetario, I tried to optimize for 6 missions so I can get like an edge on everything.
Hmm.
And one of the and my downfall was in fact was in my it was as far as was basically that the other one of my first loss was the exact opposite of just played the same. It was just the brute force option and moved through it and resolved issues. He had a lot of confidence in his list, and I'm like,
Hmm.
yep, I know what this is. I know what this is. Let's take this away and move and switch to the next biggest tournament that I get, the next huge tournament that I can play. And so I took that mentality from that tournament and brought it into this one.
Gotcha. So these are more like tried and true lists on your part, then I take it.
Essentially, yeah, yeah. These are so the first list that we play that I call my headhunter list
Hmm.
is is basically a version, a minor change from the one that I played at Battle by the Beach.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then this other one is one that kind of was just efficient. It was so the first one is for the so my headhunter list.
I thought it looked familiar.
Yeah, yeah, it's a Kappa paramedic, a ment, a wave rider, um, with a standard wave rider hacker, a Silver Star rover with the Tinbot, no tactical awareness. We can get into that if you want. A Stormbot, a Digger, 2 Moonrakers, a Beast Hunter, a Nightshade for some fun stuff, a Tinker, and in group 2, a Tinker, Kaita, an Evobot, a Missile, a GML, and then the Prime. And it's pretty straightforward in execution, in kind of like configuration. You you put the core together, you move the prime around to shoot to kite, and then the
Mhm.
digger goes up the middle, and that's kind of the short end of it. The big change was I had an engineer before, and then I switched it to a tinker, and that let me upgrade to the rover, and that proved to be a big deal in a lot of matchups. And
What was
then
the rover before?
the rover was a hellblazer, so
Mm, I see.
I basically took out the kind of like CC, the cheap CC element, and then buffed him up to be a specialist and get the tin bot so that my hacker wasn't as vulnerable, and it helped it actually helped quite a lot. The rover turned
Yeah.
out to be a big scorer for a lot of the game.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean that just helps take advantage of the naturally high BTS kind of all over Torchlight. Like BTS 6 with a firewall -3, it takes some dedication to punch through or some severe luck to get through quickly.
Yeah, saving on 15 is not, man, it feels good.
Mhm. Yeah, no kidding. And I do love the Nightshades. I know we've talked about we've gushed about Nightshades before, but they're just such fun
Oh,
units. They're super
so
cool.
good. Oh yeah, they're so good, and they're one. So I kind of like categorize a lot of units. I make categories for units, and the Nightshade, especially the Killer Hacker, is like a super scorer. It's
Mhm.
PC. It's an elite. I think one of those two, elite or veteran.
Sounds right. I
Yeah,
think so.
he's a hacker. Um, he's highly mobile. He's got CC for days. He's very good. He's hard to take sometimes because he's
Mhm.
deployed, so you're basically, if you need you need really good timing, but um and he's very expensive, so if you're not using him, you're kind of losing him. So it's one
Mhm.
of those like, very it's one of those like moments that you kind of really want to be like that you need to know how to use it very effectively, but when you can, it's game winning.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the double moonrakers. Those I hadn't encountered those before, and wow, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, so
Moonrakers are
double
annoying.
Moonraker, Beast Hunter, every list. Just hard that you gotta have. That's how I start every list, and then usually a kite.
That's why I don't like Moonrakers. Like, I like them in concept, but I
Mm,
feel like they're just so good that I find it hard to write a list without them, and I don't like that feeling of, like, obligation.
mm,
Mhm.
Like, I know
yeah,
I can make the choice not to, but it feels like it is just so crippling by comparison almost.
that's
Like,
fair.
it's just you get so much for those points.
Yeah, they're also one of the things they're also kind of in my mind. So genuinely, the reason that I play Torchlight is because of the Beast Hunter, though. Man, I love the
Mhm.
Beast. That's that's my guy. Um, but I agree. I agree that the Moonrakers are are really critical, and like if you don't take them, you're kind of like weakening your list. But I also find that they're also the most learning curve of the faction. If you
Mhm.
need to be able to play them really well, and if somebody can like play through them really well, then you're basically all that like that midfield becomes a lot less effective, and they can get to your squishy, quote unquote, squishy stuff of like a rover's not necessarily squishy, but he dies just like everyone else.
Mhm.
Right. For sure. And so, with what was kind of the plan with this list? Was this designed for any particular missions in the lineup, or a particular, or other parameters?
Yeah, so whenever I'm playing and prepping for a tournament, I think about the mission, the matchups, the maps, and Torchlight, because it's so homogeneous, it's like pretty straightforward. The missions and the maps are pretty easy to keep together. Like you don't really
Mhm.
have to worry about them too much. So I was really worried about the matchups. Um, so this list is kind of meant more for like mimetism 3 or like the occasional mimetism 6. So those kind of strong medium factions that have a lot of mimetism aren't going to have a lot of tags, or and are pretty and will use a lot of like obfuscation to try to beat this one. That's what this list is for. Is the digger can literally dig camo markers out, and then the prime just shoots up mimetism like no other.
For sure. Okay. And what missions did you end up playing those? And were those solely decided by faction once those were announced, as far as why you picked the first list?
Prominently. So chose I chose this list in the game one, B-Pong against Shinden Butai, coincidentally.
Mhm.
And then I played it against who did I play against? I played against and I played it against Tack in game 4, which is Supremacy. And
Sure, yeah.
yeah, and it was a mix. That was kind of a combination of thing. The game 4 was kind of a combination of. It was nice that um, Tack has a lot of mimetism, so this was that was a deciding factor, but also the hidden deployment Nightshade is really helpful in Supremacy because you can just like randomly pull out a swap in out of nowhere. So that was kind of like a nice joining together. I'm not certain if I would have been able to pull off the shenanigans that I did in that game with my other list.
Gotcha. So rounds 1 and 4, it sounds like. So the
1
other
and
3
4,
were list 2? Okay.
Yeah. 2 and 3, 2, 3, and 5 were the second list.
Gotcha. So speaking of, let's go take a look at that one.
Sure. So my second list is what I call the Stormtrooper list because it misses all the time. Burst. I think I maxed out at burst 3. I'm pretty certain. I'm 90% certain that I maxed out at burst.
Oh,
3.
jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Lambda with a Yedbot, so the engineer Lambda, a War Core, a Raven Eye. Don't tell anyone. Raven Eye Lieutenant.
Surprise.
A Vidok, a Wave Rider hacker, standard hacker, and killer hacker, the 20 point and the 22 points respectively. A Hellblazer, a Silver Star, a Rover again with the Tin Bot because why you can't leave home without it. The Wrecker HRL, which is a +1 burst, and then a Flashbot in group 1, and then in group 2 is my favorite part of this is a Strider, a Missile Bot, a GML, and then the Moonrakers and the Beast Hunter, and I really like that one. That second one is kind of actually the more interesting part of it.
Yeah, I like that there's always something that group can do. Those are never dead orders, which is great.
Yeah. It's a really, this one is a little, it's weird because it's less finesse than the other list, but also, like I said, it's a Stormtrooper list. You don't hit you can't hit the broadside of the farm, and it was a big deal in a few scenarios. This is kind of more of I suppose a standard meta list, kind of the internet list. You have an engineer, and it's very formulaic, right? I like it that way too because it's somewhat formulaic. You have an engineer for the wrecker to just do support. You have 2 duo options that can add the Vidok however you like. And then you can add the pictures respectively however you want to mix it up. And then the second one is basically you hide all of your mines and stuff like in group 2 and say, look at all my camo markers, they're in the same group.
Right.
Which one's which? Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And you can put a lot of orders into it because the fact that the Strider having NCO, it's the Fort Observer Strider in case I didn't say that. The Strider having NCO is really helpful for kind of like fleshing out objectives, and it kind of hides the amount of orders that you can generate in the list.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's an NCO in group 1 as well. The Vidocs are all NCO, if I recall.
That's right. Yeah. So you can split the orders across it too, which is really it's nice and flexible. You don't have to make decisions. It's kind of so like if you can't move your Strider, which is almost difficult to not do, I feel very motivated to move some camo markers around. And that's kind of usually the one that happens. But even if you can't like don't optimize, you can't use all 6 orders, 6 in a regular order in group 2. You got the 2. You can just put it into the Vidok and just start shooting stuff, blasting.
Right. Yeah, I like that a lot. That is really flexible in terms of how things can activate, which is pretty fun. So, what situations did you imagine this list being kind of your go-to?
So this was kind of more. This was kind of brute force. This is the much more brute force kind of lists. It's meant to fight things that are highly durable,
Hmm.
Morats, um, in some capacities, steel phalanx. That's a mainly actually primarily just to be able to survive Atlanta. Um,
Hmm.
you have those more kind of sectorials that don't use a lot of mimetism. They don't have a lot of easy ways of finding you. That's the main thing that I would use those for this list for.
Gotcha. Okay. And then that ended up sort of by a small margin being your main list for the event.
It did, yeah. Yeah, just for ease of application. The I did end up using them against Shaw's in round 5. And
Hmm.
we and he they did the list lived up to its name in that fight. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So
definitely a lot of mimetism to worry about there.
yeah, so it missed quite a lot. And it was that's my own personal favorite story.
Gotcha. I will have to remind me because I might forget by the time we get to round 5. But I'm curious because you had mentioned that your first list was more geared towards that type of matchup, something more lightly armored, something more mimetism reliant, something your
Mhm.
templates could kind of chew through. So I'm curious why you decided the Stormtrooper list instead of the Headhunter list. But why don't we start from the beginning before we go there? Uh, and again, this doesn't need to be like blow by blow or anything, but why don't we just go through kind of round by round and we can just talk about briefly what mission you played, your opponent and faction that you remember, uh, and then we can double check the list and just any sort of highlights in terms of things that really stood out to you, lessons learned, cool moments, or whatever you think would be really interesting to talk about.
Sure.
No pressure.
so first the first game was Bpong. It was against Shinden Butai against Ian himself.
Yep.
Um, that was a very that was like it was a very interesting fight in that you kind of emphasized some pieces that I didn't think about a lot when I was facing
Hmm.
Shinden. But I played against the Hatamoto before, so
Hmm.
so that kind of experience helped a lot. Um, um, Ian chose first.
I believe so.
I think you chose first, and
Yeah.
I was like, I see. Well, he's gonna kill me. So I hit a lot.
That
Um,
is Ian's method
It
of
was the right
choice for
answer.
sure.
it was an interesting choice in the Bpong. I still think Bpong
Hmm.
is still very much so a second turn mission,
Mhm.
but I understand it, and I think that it was correct in given the context of you are not a hacking faction with a lot of heavy infantry, and I am a hacking and for the most part I am a hacking faction with that doesn't that needs to that has kind of you need to like punch into. So I think it was the right decision.
Mhm.
It was just it just surprised. It was a little bit surprising because it was Bpong,
Mhm.
but that kind of played into the difficulty of that fight. Of you actually really ran the show with the Rui Shi. That was the
Yeah.
surprising. That was actually really good. I was so your Hatamoto you ran in with the Hatamoto a little bit and then and you kind of stopped just to hold the beacon. That was and then but you ran up on the side with the Rishi and you started just killing all my stuff. Like the first thing you just started to you took out my Stormbot, you took out my Beast Hunter. I was real sad about that. Um and then
Or Beast Hunter.
yeah, and then you set that up as a repeater and then my prime was able to take out your um Hatamoto, which was a lesson learned from from Battle by the Beach of step back sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't fight at that 16-inch range, even against plasma. I learned that a little bit. And then, but you tried to pin me down you were able to pin me down a little bit with the repeater aspect of the Ruishi. And I thought that was really good. I was able to escape a little bit and then moved up with the rover, but that was the big play that I saw in that game.
It was a fun game. So for context, even though I was judging, we ended up with a odd number of players on the first day. So I ended up to make sure that everybody got a game. I got thrown into the rotation for the first couple of rounds, so that we could not have anybody who paid to come out to the event end up with a bye. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we've never played each other before, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
nice.
That was a nice. Yeah, it was good. And that ended with a 10-0. So pretty straight.
Yeah, you were able to get me real good after.
You got it. You just go in deep. Like genuinely, like you got to go in deep with that Hatamoto. Like the amount of times that the Hatamoto has ended up in my deployment zone is the single, like that, and like N4 bears. Same thought, like the same scenario to me. Like there's a bear in my deployment zone. What do I do? Same thing. You just gotta go real deep in. So yeah, and that was pretty much the behind that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So yes, a solid victory there. And then on to round 2.
Yeah. So round 2 was unmasking. This was this was actually a very anticipated game because against a guy named Kratash, who was a Swede that I had met at Interplanetario. So it was a really fun scenario. So he had come all the way from Sweden to play here, and he was one of the few international players. I got to play, and we had actually talked at Interplanetario, so it was like a really fun like a serendipitous moment of like, hey, I didn't get to play you at Interplanetario. Here I am. I'm like, all right, this is going to be great.
That's awesome. Pretty cool. Was that Nathaniel or Magnus?
That was Nathaniel.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He was playing Steel Phalanx. Apparently, Steel Phalanx is pretty popular in Sweden. One of the other Swedish players that I had played against in the Interplanetario also was playing Steel Phalanx. He took a pretty standard Atlanta list. And he chose. No, I chose deployment. And that was pretty critical because it was like a bifurcated table where the table that I chose not to deploy on was a lot of like gantries and lots of like top one walkways. So the floor was really open, but he had elevation control, and the other side was kind of like I would say like bunkers. And that's where I hit.
Gotcha. I think I know which table you're talking about. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. So I chose sides, and I was like, you can stay in the open. I'll just be hiding behind everything because I'm certain that you have some kind of big gun. You have Atlanta or some kind of other big gun, and then you also have Phoenix. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna hide. This is fine.
Yeah.
And it was like cut in half by these walls. So that was an interesting. It was a very clear, like, here's the mid board. So it was really interesting that way. The kind of big takeaways from that was that the Wrecker got taken out in one hit by Atlanta because I was yes.
Jeez.
That like I hid this, so I was very adamant. I'm like, all right, I'm going to hide this guy against Atlanta. He's not going to hit me. I'm going to keep him away from the hacker, Thamaris. I think that's the hacker with the picture. I'm going to keep him away from all of that stuff. And then I go out and I try to kill Penny. And I knock Penny, but I've used up all my orders. And I'm like, well, Atlanta's not going to kill me in one shot. That'd be crazy. I was so wrong. I did leave it. I did leave the Wrecker out in the open, but I feel as though like There was a little bit of I could have at least like saved like one save. No, that's not true. Immediately 4 wounds. It was rough. Um, um, but the name sticks. Stormtrooper it is. So basically fought. So a lot of the game was me fighting through Atlanta, fighting around Atlanta to some degree or another, while I was pinning down Eudoros with hacking. He has
Mhm.
stealth, so I needed to be a little bit more active with it. So I kept stuff watching that there was like a little like energy pod thing that he was hiding behind, and I was basically like, if you either need to attack me with Atlanta and use orders with Atlanta, or I'm gonna take out Eudoros and I'm gonna hack him, and so I'm just gonna do a lot of damage to him that way. And it kind
Mhm.
of held him off. I couldn't kill his civilians to save my life, but we both ended up killing one of our each other's civilians, and because I went second, I was able to flip hit the second terminal
Console.
console,
Mhm.
yeah, the second console, and score and win, and I won through more consoles.
Oh, gotcha. So this was a pretty low scoring game then.
It was 5-3.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so pretty tight.
Oh, because both your designated targets were alive, right? That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yes. Both of our designated. Yes, it was pretty rough. Uh, I could not kill these guys. I kid you not. Like I pop, bullets everywhere. I could get an angle on it. Nope. Dodges away or makes it saves. It was horrendous. I couldn't even missile him. It was really sad. I was like,
Hmm.
I can't beat him with a missile. So that happened. Uh, it was a great game. I quite enjoyed it,
Mhm.
and um, man, I was so happy to see them over here, and I was so happy to play them. Those guys were really
Yeah.
great in when I was at Interplanetarium, so it was a great time.
Yeah, I met them at the Krug and also at a little bit of an event afterward, and yeah, they're really fun to hang out with.
Yeah, super great guys. Yeah, I played Magnus. I played Magnus, the first round of Interplanetario, and I ended up winning, but we had 99 points between the two of us at the end of the game. I had 30. I had two model. I had a Ment and then a missile bot at the end of the game.
Jeez.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
kicked my teeth in. It was a bloody game. Um, yeah. So yeah,
sounds
he's a
like
murder.
so. Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, it was murderous.
Hmm.
And yeah, and that's kind of the game. Game 3 was Firefight. That was against Mulciber, which is, as we know, Jay from
Jay
Warzone.
Walker. Yeah.
So he was playing O4S. Um,
Yep.
that was yeah. It was an interesting fight. I hadn't played uh, I hadn't played OSS in a long time.
Mhm.
I again took my stormtrooper list. I did not miss every shot this time. Um,
Ooh.
but it was a lot of hiding, I will say. We played on a where our deployment zones were basically 3 big buildings on each side, and so we were hiding behind buildings and like poking. And it was kind of like a moment of who blinks first. His lieutenant
Mhm.
was a Asura, so he was just able to
Gotcha.
like he took first and he cybermasked the Asura, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I guess this is gonna be what it is. And he would poke out with not the Dakini with HMG, but the other robot with HMG. Um, and then start like
the trying to think of what other HMG bot that would be. I mean, the TR bot,
heavy rocket launcher. I'm
but
sorry, it was a heavy rocket launcher.
oh, the rickshaw. Yeah, yeah.
Rickshaw. Yeah. He would pop out with the rickshaw every once in a while and start like shooting my stuff, and I'm like, well, and then he'd like reveal, and I'd be like, oh well, I guess I have to fight it. Um, I was able to take out his Sophatech, and that kind of forced it on turn 2, and that kind of forced him to try to start killing killing my stuff because I was ahead on specialists. And so what he did was he pushed forward with the Asura, and that was kind of the fatal moment of he pushed forward with the Asura too much, and he left the Asura in the middle. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna kill it now. The Asura is here. This is the last turn. Time to start throw up that record and start shooting stuff.
Yeah.
And that was
makes sense.
And that was the turn. It was a good game. He was very conservative, and it definitely made me sweat of like the whole. You got like push like the even with the pitch. So I used a lot of pitch. I only managed to kill like 2 things with the pitcher with the the missiles. But but he forced me. It kind of was like a forced moment of like I can't hit anything. So I can't like see any of your stuff. So I've got to start using the non-traditional warfare.
Sure. Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Like the rickshaw are pretty potent. Like I've seen them pushing out dakinis on all list outside of the heavy machine gun, just because we've got a couple extra pips of ballistic skill. They're a little bit tougher. It's cheaper because rocket launchers are dirt cheap.
It's cheap. Wow. Okay.
I think it's like a point cheaper. It's not much, but I believe it's just. But the fact that it is cheaper at all is kind of wild.
Yeah.
ALF.
So what did the?
Yeah.
Whatever. Just jealous. Both.
I have an entire department dedicated to saying no to you guys. So.
ALF's too important. You can't do that.
Oh, we know that we can. We've seen Concilium. We know that there's an off button.
There is. But there's no reason to use that.
Why would you want to touch that? Yeah.
So how did that end up?
Oh, that was that was 9-0. I did a lot of. I tried while he was hiding. I kind of did a lot of scoring. I would basically instead of shooting stuff, I would use a lot of my orders to like either reposition or hide or like try to score points and then like set up mines and things like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty good. And that was day 1. That was the end of day 1.
So then round 4 on day 2.
Round 4 was Supremacy. That was against Dragoon with some other letters attached to it. I'm not gonna, but he was playing TAC.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interest. That was one of the most like statistically anomalous games I've ever played. I played my
Gotcha.
I played my prime the headhunter list, and I basically so he kind of like deployed like I would suspect, and he put a bunch of Strelux in the midfield. I basically had that like that mine layer decoy kind of like obfuscation. And my response was, okay, well, I've got mines and also camo markers. Here we are. Right.
Yeah.
And that was that was interesting because it was kind of even started in deployment at that I knew that he had a HMG Vet Kazakh. I just knew, like I knew it. It was not like a question.
Sure.
And then
it's a good piece.
I set up my Stormbot directly with a line into his DZ where I knew he was going to deploy his Vet Kazakh.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping and I knew that this was going to set the tone of the game. Like if I could take out this Vet Kazakh in this first ARO, then it's going to kind of like win me the game. In fact, it did not. I did not win that fight.
Oh no!
But it was fine in the risk reward scenario of like I lost the Stormbot, but if I could have done it, I would have done it again. And
sure.
And so he was able to push forward on his first turn. He took first turn, which I thought was interesting. But so then he pushed forward with another Vought Kazakh, and then he put that guy on suppressive. And I wasn't able to, and the suppressive Vet Kazakh managed to crit my prime twice and put him unconscious.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was killer.
Yeah, that's rough.
So my crackback was kind of weak, and that forced me into I was trying to be kind of economical and like try to advance while I was shooting and things like that, and like, and then when that happened, I was like, all right, enough of this. It's let's be Mimi, and so I started misswinging. I think I got 5 or 6 kills on all of my kills were missiles. Like, I kid you not, I could not kill a single thing with a real bullet. Like I'm engaging him out of cover with like 3 on positive dice. He's only got 1 burst. I should be winning this. No. Every time I miss.
Yeah.
So I wasn't killing his stuff very efficiently, but I was killing his big spenders. Turn I think it was either no, it was turn 1. So turn 1, I even threw in the I left the nightshade on my left flank, and I just threw him up because I knew that like if I can score get those 2 points just early, then he's going to have to reposition a lot. And so I focused a lot of and once I killed my left flank, his stuff in my left flank, I just threw that guy up, and I was like, all right, I'll score those 2 points, and I was able to do that twice.
Nice. Yeah, it's a solid chunk. Because 30, 33, 30, something like that, right?
Yeah.
34, yeah.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good amount of points, and Frontovics are cheap as chips, so he was not being outscored. There was like 1 Frontovic in that zone, and I was taking him out. I was outscoring him most of the turns. But the funny thing is that like he had pushed the Vet Kazakh into my deployment, into my half of the table, and mainly the way that I hit, and by the end of and he kept on taking out my Moonraker, but I kept on resing it with the Tinker, and that was kind of what set, and that was what won me the third position. It was really fun. I did not win because I killed stuff. I won because I was healing up my own stuff. So it was a lot of it was mechanically probably the most interesting game because I just used a lot of like internal mechanics instead of like interactions.
Sure, just keeping units up and making sure they were in the right places because you could have an idea of what was scoring in zones and what wasn't, or a value of things scoring in zones and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a lot of, and it was a lot of like risk acceptance, because you kind of, if you lose your tin bot, or if you lose your Moonraker, if I lost my Moonraker at any point in time, like I was not losing the game, but I was losing my positions. So I was losing a point, which is not ideal.
Right.
Yeah. That ended up with a 6-4 for me. I won. Yeah, we tied at the end, but I scored 1, and he scored 3 of the consoles, and neither of us scored any secondaries.
Gotcha.
So it was pretty tight. Yeah, it was pretty tight. His aggression was definitely was able to capitalize on his aggression and like his impromptu survival. Also, I didn't realize how much veteran or Warhorse was in pack. That there's quite a bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the Vet Kazakhs and the Frontovics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, which I mean can be a pretty substantial part of your list if you're building around those. Yeah, that's a fair point. I hadn't really thought about that either, but that makes sense. But yeah, so you're going into round 5 with 4 majors, which is pretty sweet. It's a good position to be in.
It was a really good one. It was also really interesting because there was another there was another set that was going in at 4 meters, so it was kind of like, oh, what's going on? What's gonna happen?
Yep.
Uh, and this was really interesting. This was a really interesting fight for a number of reasons. This was against Nazim, who was one of my locals.
Yep.
It was really fun. It was really funny because we've joked about seeing each other at the top table many times. He is, in my mind, the Shazvasti player.
For sure.
Yeah. So it was really kind of like the moment. It was kind of like both very relaxing and also very tense. Of like, this is the finals of the Krug, but also I play this guy all the time. Like,
Yep.
he knows all my tricks. I know most of his. But I don't know all of his because he changes lists. Like, he makes a new list like sometimes even a day before the tournament. And I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know what he's gonna do to me. I know that he's got like some things, but it's really funny.
A true Shaz player,
So
indeed.
yeah, right. He very much so customizes every minute. It was a this is probably the most like not technical, but like mental game that I've played ever. It was really fun for
Okay.
that. I chose I chose the um I chose my stormtrooper list because of the fire team, the Fort Observer bonus. So I don't have a Fort
I see.
Observer in the other list, and also because of the nature of the order intensity of provisions. They're very order intensive, and I wanted to have 2 units that could basically go to the flanks, which were my wave riders, and then I
Mhm.
wanted a unit that could go down the middle, which was which was the Strider, and that's why I chose that list.
Mhm.
Um, I knew that it would. I also was kind of preparing for the Guilo, because the Guilo, if you don't prepare for the Guilo, you're gonna lose. Um, and
Yeah.
my other list does not do that, fight the Guilo well at all. Um,
Right.
yeah. So
Not something the Prime wants to deal with.
no, not at all. But a wrecker handles it great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
As we proceed in the game, we will find out that it did not, in fact, handle that great. Um, so it was so this was like a really cerebral game. In the game, the table was basically cut in like a diagonal, and where all of the consoles were on one side of this kind of like it was like a duplex wall, or like a apartment complex wall. And so all of the consoles were on one side of it, and then uh and you could be a little bit lower and access them easily and have like really good arrows on them. And the other one was basically you walk behind, you stay behind the wall, but you have two
Sure.
gigantic sniper towers on the other side. So I was had to deploy basically surrounding those sniper towers. And that was really critical, because and also the flexibility of my list was really critical to in that regard. Um,
Gotcha.
so so the way that I had set this up was, because I was deploying first, I held the wrecker and my Vidok in reserve because I didn't know where he was going to put the Guilo, and I
Mhm.
needed to take out any kind of mimetism like arrows or something like that. So I put the one duo on either side. I put the Killer Hacker Wave Rider, and then the Hellblazer on underneath the central one, this more central one, and then I put my Rover and then the standard Wave Rider under another one that had a lot of better view. And then I put my Yudbutt on top of on top of the tower that had the better view. And that was really nice because, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna take Speedball, and if I can't recover, and if he takes out my Vidok, I can like recover it.
Sure.
Yeah, that was my kind of like mentality of like the Yudbutt's still a med is still a medic, even if it's not really being a medic. even if it attached to an engineer, it can still be a medic. So that was my thought process on it. So he deployed, and then he deployed the Goilo, and he deployed for his first TR bot in kind of like a really safe position. I could have been accessed either way. And then he put the speculo right in front of where I was going to put my sniper. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm not putting him. And he didn't present anything that I couldn't access from my left tower. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to put my Vidoc on the second one. And that was kind of the big fake out of that, of basically, and then I put my Wrecker in the middle to try to engage the Quilo.
Gotcha.
He put down, yeah. And then he put down his second TR bot, just facing off against my Wrecker, but inaccessible to my Vidoc, which was really smart.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And so I had to make a decision of either fighting through the Guilo and the TR bot, or just fighting the TR bot. I had hoped. So as it turns out, a burst 3 on 10s does not breed burst 4 on 11s ever.
It does feel like a rough spot to be active turn.
Yeah. So my first engagement was that, and it took me 3 times, and in 3 shots I missed all of them, and then my Wrecker was down. In case you're keeping count, my Wrecker has survived 1 game in 2 tournaments in this entire tournament. And so that was kind of I could score relatively easily with the Strider. My Strider, by the way, got away scot-free because he had the Guilo like looking at the center console, but my Strider was just like went up and said, "All right, well, I'm going to walk away and I'm going to survive one of these shots," and he in fact survived his shot and ran away scot-free. So he got away with murder on that one.
Yeah, because I assume this is the Rocket MSV Guilo.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is pretty lucky.
Yeah. It wasn't like, it was just kind of like, all right, well, I'm gonna, even if I die, I have like other people to like do backup stuff. But the Strider ended up getting away scot-free, even if the Wrecker didn't.
Makes up for that a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Poor Wrecker.
My poor Wrecker, just keeping getting shot down. So I tried to recover him with my Wave Rider, and my Wave Rider was kind of put out in the open. The Wave Rider is another, and after we recap, so the Wave Rider is another one of those guys that managed to get away. Armor 3, as it turns out, is really good against light arms. So what happened is I had positioned my Wave Rider to be right next to the Speculo, and so the Speculo was shooting me basically on top, like above me, and he was looking at me, so I was trying to hack him as he was shooting me, and I managed to get away. And as he was shooting my Wave Rider, my Yudbot was like dodging into position to touch the Speculo. So by the end of his turn, the Speculo was engaged with the Yudbot, and the Wave Rider, who had only taken 1 shot, but he did survive. She did survive that 1 shot. Was kind of like he was engaged and he was kind of stuck there.
Nice.
But that was kind of like the pace of the game, of like us kind of like poking at each other a lot. I did eventually just kill my own Yudbot and the Speculo with my sniper that was on the other tower. That was kind of important. And then it was basically us poking for the center. He kind of like did a lot of like fun obfuscation with his camo markers, because I couldn't like I couldn't get to any of them. It couldn't couldn't discover that if I discovered it, like it was like a seed soldier and I couldn't shoot it, and he positioned it all beautifully. And so he would like advance, and in the going into the third round, it was basically we both had a box in our zones, which was literally right next to the center. So
Sure.
I had one. I was up by one because I positioned my Wave Rider Hacker or Killer KHD to hold the left side, and then my Wave Rider on the right side was kind of like she was really exposed, but she had managed to pull another one. So I was able to hold two of them, or hold the three of them. But I wanted to clinch the game, and I tried to pull the box from his zone with my Strider,
Mhm.
and the Strider did not get away this time.
Yeah.
I rolled an 11, and so I went in. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna touch it." So I moved in, and he was like, "I gotta stop this! I gotta stop this!" And so he discovered with his TR bot, and I'm like, "All right, well, I ended my movement outside the line of sight, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna forward observe you." So I forward
Okay.
observed.
Yeah.
So as a instead of so it was a normal roll face to forward observe, and I managed to get him, and then I missiled him, and that kind of helped with like basically any advancing. So I was able
Sure.
to advance, but the Guilo just killed me afterwards. So that was kind of that one. But
Yeah.
by the end of it, I was able to kill off um, TR bot and advance onto my right side with the Wave Rider. So that was kind of the big turn of it. Uh, the Wave Rider, most of my specialists managed to get away with basically with durability and not necessarily much of anything else, which was kind of the big takeaway of the game is sometimes you just need armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, and
That
so that
helps.
was kind of that was and that was the Krug. It was a really fun. It was a really fun game. Very technical. Um, Lots of us like basically mind screwing with it, mind like psyching each other out and trying to figure out like every little possible angle and pushing a lot of risks. So and we got away with a 4-3 super tight game.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Super close game. And
Mhm.
so minor victory on this one. Yeah, because I know that, and we'll be talking about this another time, but Ian and I were watching and commentating on what was top table at the time. And we went in like, as long as these two don't tie, because this will be really awkward if we're streaming this game and one of them don't win. Spoilers.
Well, every point counts. Just
It
saying, every
does.
point counts.
It does.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and I think that it definitely needed another round because I think that there were no everyone in the top like 5, 6 area, maybe even a little bit more. None of them had any losses on their record.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody had any
No.
losses. I think that
There's a
because
few draws,
even
and that was it.
yeah, it was really a close fight for that top
Yeah,
spot.
the
Yeah.
top 10 as a whole was quite impressive. It was the who's who of people that score in the top 10 at like every event in the US.
There was a lot of that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, again, congratulations for winning the first Corvus Belli Krug. That's super cool, and it sounded like a lot of really good, really tight games. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
sweet.
It was a lot of variety too, which I liked. It was a lot of
Mhm.
like sometimes you'll see like one faction a lot, and
Hmm.
I did not feel as though that was the case. It was some of these were a little bit surprising, but it was good because that was good because it was surprising of like seeing Oz on the final table and seeing
Yeah,
OSS, who I just hadn't seen a lot. I haven't seen that a lot lately.
sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it sounds like a good spread. I mean, I guess technically there were 2 Aleph opponents, but Phalanx and OSS are just such wildly different beasts.
Yeah. Not surprised by the Shinden, but
Yeah.
there was quite a lot of Shinden. I don't think there was quite a lot
Yeah.
of Shinden. I don't think it was as much. So at Battle by the Beach, it was like very prominent, but that was like when it just released and stuff like that. It was good.
No, that's awesome. Well, yeah, I think that is a good place to transition over to final thoughts. But before we do that, I did just want to say thanks to all of our patrons who help keep the show going. You guys help us with upgrades or replacements of equipment, subscription costs for software, and all these other SaaS goodies that everybody wants to keep charging for over a month, and all of that good stuff. And so we really, really appreciate that. All of our special projects, that's directly because of your guys' support. So thank you for that. And if you're interested in joining, you can find us at patreon.com/metachemistry. And we have a handful of goodies that we give in return to kind of show our appreciation for that, like early access to episodes, final voting on polls, some private channels on the Discord, and things like that. And even if that's not your cup of tea, you should join us on our Discord. It's in the show notes as always, and we'd love to have you. If you want to talk Infinity, there's a good place to do it. There's people posting great tables and sweet paint jobs on their miniatures, and discussions on factions and lists and all that good stuff. So if you don't have enough Discord servers, I would recommend ours. So with that said, Derrek, any final thoughts or last kind of nuggets of wisdom or anything else that you'd like to impart on our listeners in relation to your time at the Krug this year?
Going with a plan. Expect that plan to go into the plan. Expect that plan to fail. Plan to fail. Have a backup. That's kind of the fundamentals. Practice your fundamentals. I wouldn't have won this game. I wouldn't have won any of these games without practicing the fundamentals first. O12 definitely like feeds into that one. And then have fun. Remember to that's kind of like a killer. Like you need to walk in and be serious, but not necessarily. But remember that you're both there to play a game. So be conversational. Make sure that you're both doing your best and doing it effectively, but not necessarily don't kill it.
For sure. Yeah, and that's something that, every once in a while people can lose sight of that, where get a little bit too lasered in, a little too focused, and yeah, it's can sometimes take the enjoyment out of the game a little bit, which is unfortunate because, like you said, it is a game. It's supposed to be fun. People are supposed to have a good time, and it is certainly an expression of skill. Hopefully everyone can walk away from the table happy, even if it's not necessarily the result they wanted.
Yeah, it was a great event overall, and I was really happy that everybody that attended seemed to have a lot of fun. And I know that even though I wasn't really playing other than a couple of games to fill in a hole so nobody would miss a game, that I had a lot of fun, and I think you had a lot of fun, Devin. So it sounds like everybody had a lot of fun, and just gonna get bigger and better from here on out.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I'm glad to. I would like to see bigger, better tournaments. That sounds really interesting. Get some sevens. Get some 8-round tournaments in there.
Right.
Oof.
Yeah. Who knows? We'll see how much this keeps growing. But yeah, definitely at least one more round, even just from this year. I think we would have benefited from one more round.
Yeah, the sixth round would have been sans the scenario. Like ignoring the scenario, it would have been a nice final tip of the hat.
For sure. Well, Derrek, thanks again so much for giving us your time and for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, guys. Great. I'm always happy to be here.
On behalf of Metachemistry, this has been Devin,
Ian,
and Derrek. And that's the meta.